Now, luckily, the cards that have like all these sticker and attraction mechanics just aren't legacy viable, so I'll never have to learn what they owe. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another legacy video, and today we are playing with the Sticker Goblin, Blank Goblin, Mind Goblin, whatever you want to call it. It finally has hit Magic Online. There's some hiccups there, and we're going to talk about that in just a second. So this card is very powerful. When it enters the battlefield, you may put a name sticker on it, and then add red for each unique vowel on that sticker. Long story short, as you would normally have to build a sticker deck that you would present to your opponent before the game. But long story short, this is always going to net mana, giving you 4, 5, or 6 mana. Now, here's the problem. This card physically could not work on Magic Online with the software the way that it currently is. There's nothing in place for stickers. That's going to present some coding issues. You'd have to have like a separate second sideboard or something. The Magic Online team was basically like, what the F do we do with this? And they did their best. And here's what we're looking at as a digital substitute for this card, which is the first time that Magic Online has just said, we can't do this right now. Here's something close. This is the Magic Online version of the card. If you want to get into the minutia, there's some reasons why this text exists exactly as it is, but we're going to focus on the mana part because that's what's going to be relevant to this league today. We're going to roll a 20-sided die. We're going to roll a d20. On a roll of 1 through 6, we add 4 mana. 7 to 14, we add 5 mana. And 15 to 20, we add 6 mana. So this is always going to be a ramp card, and it is going to hit 5 or 6 mana a ton of the time. Now, 6 mana is a bit of a magic number for goblins, as that's what lets you cast Muxus Goblin Grandee. And this card is kind of busted, especially if you can give it haste and attack immediately. But even if you don't, dumping a whole bunch of goblins into play while you're playing a goblin deck probably wins you the game most of the time. I'm going to be playing one other pretty interesting card here, and that is Battle Cry Goblin. This is one that, unless you've been playing goblins recently, you probably don't know. It's a 2/2 with Pack Tactics, which means whenever it attacks, if you attack with creatures with total power 6 or more, you get a 1/1 red goblin token that's tapped and attacking. And the top ability is really good here. Goblins you control get +1/+0 and gain haste until end of turn. A lot of times with Muxus, you really want to give Muxus haste, and there's a couple of goblin lores that can do that. But now that this Sticker Goblin is getting in the mix, and you could just get mana off of Muxus triggers, you can just bam, dump that extra mana into Battle Cry Goblin, which not only gives them haste, but also grows them and increases their power. So we are probably going to do some very busted things today very quickly. Now, today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, Cool Stuff Inc., as well as Eminence Gaming. And if you need any physical Magic cards, check out Cool Stuff and use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% when you buy your name Sticker Goblins or other sweet cards. So this is the deck list in all of its glory. Huge shout out to Goblin Lackey, aka Eli Goings, for giving me an early draft of this deck list. Expect this deck list to get optimized over time, but this is kind of our starting point for today. So off our name Sticker Goblin, we can Goblin Matron to find the goblins that we need. We can give them haste with Goblin War Chiefs. And don't underestimate just how good it is to just go and potentially draw up to 4 goblins with a Goblin Ringleader trigger. We have Skirk Prospector, as well as Soul Lands and Chrome Mox and Spirit Guide to help us turbo out our cards. Notice there are no Aether Vials in this build of goblins. This is Giga Turbo Muxus. Like, we are planning on going big with this deck list. We're not looking to grind things out and play this attrition game that a lot of times you end up when you're playing a more traditional goblins deck list. I also want to shout out Melissa, who gave me the donation deck list to make this happen. She wanted to see something wild that I'd never have played on the channel, and well, I think this one qualifies, and I hope you do too. I don't think I have anything interesting to say here other than that. Just in case you haven't seen this Lord before, it's also pretty dope. So let's battle. All right, Phil from the future here. A kind of unfortunate thing happened. My opponent was playing extremely slowly in game 1, and then they ended up just conceding the entire match. And so rather than show you 20 minutes of video footage where it's me going, yeah, I'm just going to cut the entire round and go directly to round 2 for entertainment's sake. All right, this hand doesn't do anything, just literal 7 mana sources. I'm cursed. Absolutely cursed. 0 red sources. At least not in a traditional way. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I get to keep 1 more card beyond this? Fuck yeah. So, do I keep the Cavern of Souls for if my opponent is a blue deck? I think so. I think I'm going to go bam, bam here. And intend on... Yep, okay, good. Alright, so we know what's up over there. We're going to hope not to get wastelanded. Yeah, and this is even a good turn 1 play. Alright. Goblin. And we're hoping that my opponent, like, ponders into a lightning bolt or something to take this out. And then I go for name Sticker Goblin on turn 2, uncounterably. Ooh, up the beanstalk. Nice. The awkward thing about the whole, like, name Sticker Goblin situation is that, like, I can make 1 of the name Sticker Goblin or Muxus uncounterable. Super awkward. Maybe I should have just jammed. Offering the trade. I'll say no to that. Saying no to that makes me better at some post-Muxus shenanigans. Alright. I think I want the Muxus to be uncounterable. So this is a little awkward. I think I'm supposed to do this like this. I'm already playing around dazes. It's just Force of Will that I have to worry about here. Okay. There is now a small chance of failure. Yes, I will sacrifice to my own ability, but thank you for checking. Now we just hope that I do not roll a 1 through 6. Second daze. Alright, I mean, I'm paying, but things got a lot worse for me. So now I need to roll big. 6 mana. Muxus, baby. Alright, so we are playing against a Rug Up the Beanstalk deck. And I do not have a lot of reps in to know how I should approach this. I know that things are going to get harder for me as the game goes on and my opponent's Force of Wills start turning into cantrips. If I want to defend against counterspells, Defense Grid seems good. Alright, so, sorry I was chatting with my opponent a bit. Mog War Marshal feels like the most expendable thing. I'm going to bring those in for Defense Grids. I don't think I'm going to go for, like, moons or removal spells or any graveyard hate or anything like that. I think this game is just like stick a Muxus and my opponent dies. Oh yeah, this seems fine. I'll kind of have to decide how I want to play Name Sticker Goblin. Like, I could just use Name Sticker Goblin to cast Goblin Ringleader and start going to town that way. I could go right now. Just Sticker Goblin into Muxus. I think I'm going to play a little more patiently than just that, though. That doesn't feel correct to me. It's like my opponent, after experiencing that, almost certainly has a Force of Will hand. Is the War Chief what goes under? Or am I casting War Chief this turn? I'm always casting Chromox this turn, and I think I hold Spirit Guide. I'm gonna put War Chief under and test the waters here. Brainstorm's fine. With 2 Name Sticker Goblins, like the first one could be a bait spell, and I can even afford to like pay for a daze off Spirit Guide or whatever. Ooh, it's in play. 6. I believe this is just... I could name Sticker Goblin again. And do that around days. Yeah. Let's do this. And then, like, the Goblin Ringleader lines get much better. 8, 9 total mana. Awkward if this doesn't resolve. I'm one short of Muxus then. Oh. Yes. Very respectable. So I will name Sticker Goblin again. The 3rd. Up to 6 mana. Alright. This is daze proof. Oh god, it just worked. My opponent whiffed on their brainstorm. Goblin Matron triggers. What is even in play? Okay, I have a Skirk Prospector. Yes, I will use this ability. I will pick up another Muxus just in case. And then I get another one of these. Yes, I will use this ability. Let's grab like a War Chief. Let's sacrifice Matron. Use the Spirit Guide to cast War Chief. Go to combat. Okay, sure. Lightning Bolt the War Chief to buy a turn is fine. I shouldn't need mana here for anything. Yeah, we're just good with that. Yeah, I'll just send him. We've still got the Muxus in play. I could technically, like, sack my board to Muxus again. I don't think that's a good thing to do. Seems like inviting unnecessary risk. And I don't realistically know what my opponent is even looking for at this point. Like, they've already tapped a mana. I mean, I guess a Pyroclasm effect is reasonable. Yeah, I guess, like, an actual factual Pyroclasm would be good. But now that they've spent another mana on Ponder, life seems tough. Okay, yeah. And I do just have deterministic on lethal on board with Muxus because it'll get +1, 2, 3, 4, +5 already with no other creatures cast or mana investment. Oh, my opponent could have Submerge. Submerge is a thing that could be reasonable to play in an Up the Beanstalk deck that could leave them not dead. Yep, alright, we have gotten the GGs though. Alright, that was fast. Eminence Gaming's Command Tower software is a fantastic way to run 4-player EDH or CEDH events, and it's also great for 1v1 tournaments. It has easy event registration, and there's no download required. Everything just runs in browser. The best part is that it's only $5. Visit eminence.events for details. Okay, what are we looking at here? Turn 1, Skirk Prospector. Turn 2, no land drop. Have 2 mana. Not quite to cute Mog War Marshal things. Let's ship this one. Whoa. 5. Turn 1, Skirk Prospector. Turn 2, Goblin Matron for Sticker Boy. Turn 3, Muxus. That'll do for a mulligan to 5. Okay. You're going to have interaction on the other side of the table again. So Cavernous Souls would ultimately be a pretty cool draw. So that when I go for the Muxus, it actually sticks. Looks like we're facing down a Rug Delver deck. Potentially more hot beanstalk action coming your way. Or baubles. They like what's on top of their library, and they're going to draw it with one of the baubles. Alright. Batter Skull Smashing, sure. Yep. Land drop, Skirk Prospector, and pass. So there's a decent chance that I get attacked for 3 in the air this turn. I don't think I mess around with blocking a 1/1 Dragon Rage Channeler. I think the ability to play around days is going to be more important. Stifle? Sure. That is a relevant spell against my deck, both for this and Sticker Goblin, and Matron for that matter. Alright. No immediate wasteland, which is something that I am going to be concerned with in a little bit. And on turn 2, I am being attacked with a 3/3, so blocking is not even an option. Love this land drop, though. That just means I have easier access to a Muxus next turn, because this is already 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 next turn, even if Matron doesn't resolve. I'm very happy to see the Force of Will here. Exiling Daze. So next turn, I probably will be in the position where I just jam Muxus and hope that my opponent does not have any other Daze or Force. I don't know that I want to give my opponent more time to sculpt. There's a good chance that if they don't play cards, there's a green card that ends up stuck in their hand given their mana base here. But, like, there's already 2 Tarmogoyfs, so that's a thing. Okay, cool. Now I can at least play around a Daze. So we'll imprint the Shatterskull Smashing. Drop the city. And we're jamming. I am at 7. It's a scary place to be. Muxus hits play. Did not get stifled. Ogg War Marshal hits play. So I think I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice this now and just get a feel for what this card is going to be. And I'm probably going to sacrifice another goblin to give my goblins haste so I can crash in. That is a Dismember, which is quite bad for me. I assume targeting the Hordemaster. That seems like a mistake to me. Yeah. So now I will just sacrifice the Hordemaster that is being targeted by the Dismember. That one was a mountain. And I get this. Another mountain. Unfortunate. So I'll activate the Battle Cry Goblin now. My opponent just lost a lot of life to their Dismembers. So, combat. You need another piece of interaction or you're dead on board here. Opponent has disconnected. Alright, that is a Lightning Bolt targeting the Battle Cry Goblin. Okay. So, I attack in. Muxus triggers. Wouldn't you know it? It still maths out to lethal, even through the extra piece of interaction. I was on my phone for a few while they disconnected, so I lost some degree of focus on the game, but I imagine that with Dismember and Lightning Bolt, there was probably a way for them to navigate that turn that does not result in them being dead. Yeah, and they just said so much text on that card. Yep. So I think similarly to before, I'm going to want the defense grids, like, as long as I can have my combo turn, like, I'm going to be good. My opponent's got Tarmogoyfs here this time around that we saw. I still don't know that I'm going to try to kill creatures. Ogg War Marshals did some work this time. Like, this trio right here is solid. I don't really have a feel for how I'm supposed to sideboard. Until I'm proven wrong, I am going to cut 3 Ogg War Marshal every time. That just feels like the most expendable card in my deck list. Honestly, this hand is, like, maybe not as bad as it looks. Like, all I want is lots of mana, right? I am on the draw. My opponent's already mulliganing. I think if I had a Cavern, I'd keep this. Hey, a Cavern. I'm going to keep this. I just have to figure it out. All right, so turn 1, Skirk Prospector. Turn 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I'm always keeping the hand, and one of these 2 cards I think is going back. I think I still want the Chromux. I'm going to put a War Chief back into the deck since it's a good Muxus hit. Alright. Pashalik Mons. That probably goes under Chromux. Alternatively, I can put Battle Cry Goblin under Chromux and cast Pashalik Mons now. Let that eat an initial spell of some kind. I don't really have to make the Chromux decision. It's just like Cavern can get wastelanded. Yeah, let's not make the decision now. I'll open myself up to wasteland a little bit. Play a Goblin. I'm expecting this to eat a Lightning Bolt or Dismember or something, yeah. I think that's okay. Like, I very much was anticipating this. It's just like, if this eats the Wasteland, it's very awkward to have played this out the way that I did, because that cavern is so important. Alright, new Skirk Prospector. Sure. Alright. Bam. Astromox. I think I'm going to imprint the Battle Cry Goblin here. And do a Dazable Pashalik Mons. So this thing, like, can turn Skirk Prospector into a removal spell for Dragon Rage Channeler, which is nice. And we'll see where this goes. Like, a Tarmogoyf can come down pretty quickly here. Oh. That does not do a lot versus my deck, but I sure do have Chrome Mox as my only red source right now. Yeah, it's literally 4 artifacts. Alright. I think I am going to attack. So assuming that I bust myself out of this, I would like to get it to the point where a small Muxus attack can be lethal. So Daze went into graveyard, and then my opponent likes one of their other cards. I'll eat 3 damage from the attack step here. And not in great shape. That's a start. I can exile a Spirit Guide to Skirk Prospector. My opponent's pausing, which, yeah, that's a disaster. Goyf into graveyard, one other card on top. Dead in 3 turns. Dead in 2 turns if Oof attacks, so at this point I hold back. I can honestly probably concede here, but my draws could be exactly red. Yeah, and now these are grown. So with both of those creatures getting in, I'm not really on outs anymore. I am comfortable conceding. I don't think I board in any removal. Like, again, I have 4 pieces of artifact mana in my deck. That is not a card that is normally going to line up well against what I am doing. So I don't have a payoff card here. I have respectable mana. It's just like, do I want to play a game that looks like this being the top end of what I'm doing against a Tarmogoyf deck that can stall the board? So I could Chrome Mox, imprint this, Spirit Guide, Cavernous Souls, cast a Goblin Warchief or Pashalik Mons on turn 1, and the other one on turn 2. I don't think this is what I'm trying to do in the matchup. Oh, this is a keep. So Chrome Mox is going to imprint Shatterskull Smashing. I'll drop a Pashalik Mons on turn 1, and then hope to find a piece of gas to do this. I wouldn't keep the gasless hand on 7. I'll keep it on 6. I think the second Ancient Tomb is going back. I think that's just too much life loss. Alright. We're hoping to draw any sort of Ringleader, Matron, Muxus. Any sort of top end. Even a, like, Battle Cry Goblin would be fine. Wouldn't be exciting, but it would be fine. Yeah, this is the punish for not keeping second Ancient Tomb, unfortunately. We have the right sort of card. Like, that is exactly the sort of card that I wanted to draw. 4 mana to activate this. Okay. That's fine. Alright, sure. Okay, that's good. Dazable Ringleader. Or do I want to try to name Sticker Goblin first and play around Daze and potentially high roll harder? I think I'm fine with potentially trying to high roll harder. Sticker Goblin. How do we do? 5 mana. And then we can attempt to Ringleader into another card. The Ringleader is now played around Daze. Oh, shit, it hit play. Great. Goblin, Matron, and Muxus. Sure. So we did not roll the 6, so I don't get to immediately Goblin Matron. We're still bashing for 4 this turn. With Matron available next turn as well. And the individual points of damage end up actually mattering quite a bit. because my opponent like does a sweeper or anything like that, or I draw a Skirk Prospector, I can just ping a bunch of stuff to death with Pashalik Mons. Sure. And this does also just have an activated ability where I can just, you know, start throwing away name sticker goblins and turning them into goblins while pinging small stuff. All right, sure. Okay, yep. Again, I have 4 artifacts in my deck, and I just happen to have one again. It's annoying because I do like very much want the 4th mana here. I have some awkward 3-drops. I think I'm just bashing with my creatures and doing a post-combat Goblin Matron. And then that changes if Collector Oof blocks, which it very well might. Not this time. Opponent's at 7. We'll take my only playable play here. Oh. Cool. Do I just get a Skirk Prospector because Pashalik Mons is a cool combo? Probably. Opponent's at 7 already. So there is the game of like, what does my opponent have in hand now? Sure. Yeah, this is all fine to me. That will be a 3/3, which is pretty good in the blocks department. Wasteland's not bad. Skirk Prospector could be dazable. Another Chromux. So let's attempt to resolve this. Okay. I have 5 direct damage to my opponent's face. If I attack in with all of my creatures, my opponent blocks Pashalik Mons and one of these. There's 4 direct damage. I can turn that into 5/6 direct damage. If I attack with 2 2/2s and try to get Collector Oof out of play, like trade one of these for Oof or for 2 damage. If my opponent trades for 2 damage, they're dead. Yeah. Yeah, let's try sending this. All right, so there's blocks on both. And I think I'm just good with those blocks going through. So one of those definitely goes at my opponent's face. I can probably just clear the board. That's probably worth just as much. All right, opponent's at 6. We'll call it a turn. I have a lightning bolt on a stick plus lethal onboard damage. Or I guess I don't have a lightning bolt worth of damage, right? Because if I sacrifice the Pashalik Mons, then this is gone. Yeah, so my opponent's effectively at 4, not 3. Okay. I probably just say that that occurs. Put my opponent to 5. From Mox Imprint, Muxus Warchief is lethal now. Not that I like super want to give up that card, but I might end up doing it. A Goblin Matron. Yeah. Let's assume that I end this game fairly without Muxus. And just imprint this fellow. We're going to attempt to find another Skirk Prospector. I think. Hordemaster's interesting. I think I'm just going to get another Skirk Prospector. Plays a little awkward if my Pashalik Mons eats another removal spell. Alright, opponent's fully holding back here. So I will play a Skirk Prospector. Got City of Traders. I can now play Goblin Warchief. Or I can just start doing the Pashalik Mons thing and not put another counterspell on the stack. Yeah, I think I like that. Or sorry, another counterspellable card on the stack. Alright. Opponent did not immediately wasteland. So I think we're good now. I maybe should have interacted with my opponent in their upkeep. Not given them another draw step to find a piece of interaction. So, I sacrifice a Matron. I ping my opponent. Then if this ability resolves, my opponent is dead. Nice. Yeah, because I can now go 1, 2, 3, 4, all at face. Yeah, and my opponent realizes that and gives me the GGs. That was a bit of a weird game, but it showcases another angle that this deck has, which is just this like attrition-y Pashalik Mons, Hordemaster, Mog, War Marshal grind. Okay, so turn 1, Skirk Prospector or Battle Cry Goblin, turn 2 Goblin Warchief. How do I feel about just like being the beatdown, just playing Battle Cry Goblin into Goblin Warchief? Is that a thing that I want to do? This is more exciting. Den, Skirk Prospector. I'm going to keep this hand. I'm thinking about the Chrome Mox here. I don't think I need it. It is my second red source for War Chief, though. Okay. I'm still a little unsure about this, but like having the second true red source for plays that bridge me to Muxus probably matters. Okay, we're playing against lands or a lands adjacent deck list. Wasteland is going to be quite good. Oh, fuck. Against my hand. Okay, sure. That's going to help. Means Ancient Tomb doesn't have to hurt me. Do I want to go off the Skirk Prospector plan to transition to a beatdown plan? Not against Mazavith. Alright. Playing Skirk. So we're not going to have to worry about counterspells from my opponent's deck, but the board is going to get gummed up by these Urza Saga tokens. Okay. I probably go ham next turn. Imprint War Chief. Yeah. So we tap this for the colorless mana, drop the Hordemaster, and drop Mog War Marshal. I could try to get silly this turn. I think it's just safer to do so next turn. And I can still attack, right? The Urza Saga token would just be a 1/1. Send them. Opponent's at 18. They make their token. And we'll see what happens with this Saga. The opponent is floating mana. Are we mapping? We are shadow spearing. Okay, and life from the loam. Seems good. Are you equipping? You are equipping. And holding back. So coast should be clear for some nonsense here. So we'll let this die. And we get some triggers. A Muxus. Hello, Muxus. Nice to see you. We're going to be casting that card. And my opponent's probably dead. Oh, that could have gone better for me. So let's sacrifice 2 Goblin tokens. And we'll exile some more stuff. Sacrifice this other token. A Mog War Marshal. Yes, we're fine playing that. That just produces 2 bodies, initially. Then we sack the Mog War Marshal. Goblin Matron, you say. So let's sacrifice a token. Do another one of these. This is now 2 mana. I can Matron, but my plan here was just activate this and then crash in for a large number. Alright, yeah, and sorry, there was just someone shouting outside. I wanted to make sure things were good. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. Okay, versus this opponent, I probably want my Blood Moon and my Magus of the Moon. I could play some of this sort of stuff. I don't know that I want to. I feel like the Pashalik Mons can probably go. We're not pinging any small creatures here. Oh, it's nice Tabernacle insurance. And I'll probably just go down one of these still. That seems fine. I'm very happy to take game 1 here. I get 2 chances to do something broken that outpaces what my opponent is doing. I mean, this finds a Muxus. Probably turn 2 Matron, turn 3 Muxus, assuming no interaction from my opponent. But I'm so expecting to get wastelanded or sphered that I don't think I keep this one. This is going to be pretty fair. I think I'm going to pitch the Chrome Mox and just kind of hope that I don't need it. Plan is absolutely fair stuff. I still have 2 lands to start things off. There's a very fast Dark Depths Thespian Stage combo coming. Do this on Goblin. Drop Skirk and pass. Yeah. This ain't great. I'll be swinging for the fences next turn. I think that involves playing the Hordemaster this turn. It's worth 2 points of damage instead of 1. And hoping that I can sacrifice some stuff in a way that's meaningful next turn. Did not crack map. You just have, just have the Dark Depths in hand already. So I am dead to that in the air. So as a starting point, let's put in this land. I have 5 showing mana. I think I am going to play a Skirk and immediately sack it. It's mana neutral, but gives me more looks at cards. Battle Cry Goblin. And turn that into a 1 mana card if I play a War Chief first. I think I am just sacking the Hordemaster and trying to get lucky here. Let's try that. Negative. I don't know what I am looking for at this point then. Let's try to Matron. Not dealing 18. What can I do at 3 mana? Nothing really. Yeah, alright. Dead. I could gone, so that doesn't happen again. I'm hoping to race that under normal circumstances. I also don't want to dilute my deck. I do just need goblins. I'm gonna just run it back the same way. Alright, turn 1, Skirk. Turn 2, Ancient Tomb, Matron for Sticker Goblin. Turn 3, Muxus. That's fine. This league is not seeing nearly as much like turn 1 Muxus as I was expecting it to. Wonder if that is like variance or if I am not mulliganing enough to try to make it happen or what. But that's where I'm at. Just conceptually. What are we dealing with here? Sure. Okay. And there's more. Taiga. Crop rotation. Ancient Tomb. And a sphere. And a sphere. That's a hell of a turn 1. So I will play Ancient Tomb. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Next turn I can just Muxus anyway. So I will cast a Chrome Mox. Imprint Ringleader. And just bash for 1, call that good. And then just hope that I don't get like wastelanded or something like that in addition. Another 3-ball, sure. Okay, Dark Depths is scary. The Muxus costs 8. I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can do it next turn. That's fine. So land drop. Matron. I will use this ability. I should probably get something other than Muxus in case that, like, I get wastelanded or something and can't make a huge play. I want to get a 3 drop. Or maybe even just a Hordemaster. Hordemaster is a great thing to play if Muxus is taken offline. Alright, opponent's at 13. Ah, they can bounce my Caracas so I can reuse it. Expedition map is fine. I expect that my opponent is probably dead. So then we will sacrifice Goblin Matron to finish casting the Muxus. That could have gone better. 4 mana. So I can get haste and 2 activations off this, or I can just play the Hordemaster. The haste forces Caracas to tap. So let's do that. So +1/+0 in haste. Yes, I'm going to give +1/+0 in haste in response, though. I want that Muxus to be hasty. Now that it's hasty, you may return it to my hand. So this is a surprising amount of damage here, right? Lethal amount of damage? Just by double Battle Cry Goblin activation? Holy fuck. I did not math that out fast enough. Wow. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I personally keep all of my deck lists for every format on this site. I love that I can go and sort them by types and tags if I need to. There's a lot of different viewing options. It can give you some math about your mana symbol, your curve, and you can even playtest and do sample opening hands with it. Check this site out if you haven't before. It's awesome. Okay. I'm playing for a trophy. That just kind of sank in. I don't feel like I've done the thing very much, but like the plan B of just activate fucking Battle Cry Goblin is doing work. I think this hand is just going to be a keep. I'm on the draw. I'm likely to draw more mana to get to Muxus. I already have, counting this, 5 of the 6 mana, and I can do some pretty silly things if I go a little harder here. My opponent's mulliganing to 5, which has me a little bit nervous because his hand is not fast. So a Reanimator deck or something, or an Oops All Spells deck, a Beseech deck could definitely steal game 1 here. But they're on 3. Swamp Entomb, Reanimate, GG, nerd. Alright, they have kept on 3. Doomsday? Or a Beseech deck? Doomsday probably beats me with this hand. I say probably because, like, Goblin Warchief Haste is, like, very much a thing. Oh, it's a Dredge deck. We've probably got the necessary time here. Okay, they hit a Narcomoeba and a Stinkweed Imp. Sure. So, oh, no Dredger there. And that's 2 to flashback. That's a little rough. Yep. Cool. Goblin? Yeah, we'll drop Hordemaster into Goblin Warchief, and I will presume that our good friend Muxus ends up getting us there. Now, like, some crazy breakthrough shit can still happen. Like, I absolutely cannot start celebrating yet. But things are looking good. Sure. Yep. So, uncounterable Warchief. Worth 4 damage this turn. And then next turn, I play City of Traders and cast Muxus. And since the Muxus will have haste, I'm going to assume that that will probably end up killing my opponent. Muxus doesn't like trample or anything though, so a Narcomoeba chump block could happen. So there's the uncounterable Muxus. And my opponent doesn't even wait to see. So I have 3 copies of Leyline of the Void that I can find as my primary point of interaction. I have removal that I can play. I'm not sure that I really want to try to remove my opponent's creatures most of the time. And this build is not the turbo LED version, so like trying to get my opponent with Mindbreak Trap is probably not the best. I could go for this stuff to attempt to cheese a win by denying my opponent getting the initial card into the graveyard, but hand size discard gets that card in there. So, what are we doing? I'm still very unsure about how I'm supposed to sideboard. But I imagine the same plan of trim some of this sort of stuff is okay. I could like go down on Ringleaders too, but I don't know. Turn 1 Skirk. Turn 2 Hordemaster. Turn 3 relatively strong plays, but not Muxusing probably. I'm going to ship this. We have Leyline of the Void hands that can be quite good. Yes. This is going to be a keep. I'm going to keep it pitching 1 copy of Goblin Matron. And we'll put the Leyline into play. I probably don't want... Oh. That's a trophy. That's a 5-0 with this brand new deck list. So this is a very different sort of 5-0 debrief than I normally do, because normally I'm just like, yeah, deck fucks, like deck is good. And this time around, I think I have to admit I misunderstood this deck list. Like when I looked at name Sticker Goblin, like my brain just went like, use this to Goblin Ringleader or Muxus and immediately snowball into a win. And in reality, it was much more of activate Battle Cry Goblin twice, finish off the game. Like, your opponent lives in fear of Muxus from turn 1, and maybe we turn 1 Muxus once or something like that, but, like, the reality was, like, this was closer to a turn 2 or usually turn 3 play. I didn't have a lot of just, like, the absolute nuts, and I still 5-0'd. Now, let me say that with the caveat that my round 1 opponent did drop the match. So, like, you know, there's an asterisk next to this one. But I think this car was actually the star of the deck rather than the Sticker Goblin or the Muxus. I think this deck's hard to sideboard with. I just, even after playing the League, I don't fully understand it. Because, like, if this whole Battle Cry Goblin thing is going to be something that I just, like, sink 4 mana into and then win the game, like, maybe I shouldn't be boarding out Mog War Marshal as frequently since it creates multiple goblins and scales well with this. But, like, at the same time, this card isn't a 4 of in the deck list, so, like, I don't know. Like, the deck's good, but it was a weird league in many ways. Let me know down in the comments below what you kind of think about this, like, Neo Goblins Giga Turbo Muxus build, because I'm definitely in the gathering data portion of this event. But yeah, if you need your Battle Cry Goblins, check out Cool Stuff Inc. Use promo code ThrabenU to save 5% on your order, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. See ya!